Good afternoon. So we're going to hopefully make this short and sweet for you, but not keep here forever. But just kind of wanted to go over some things from last year and just kind of give you a synopsis. We won't read all that stuff, but as far as the introduction, the chief, I can read that if you want, but obviously we changed up just a few things from the last time that the manager kind of pointed out to help us out. So obviously this is a little bit about our history right here. Obviously, first station was at Miss Fuller's house, which was on Trade Street. So we're back in 1890. Thank you. So, there we go. This is our org chart, just to show you a little bit about what we've got and where we're going. We've got 3 divisions on the street, operations, A shift, B shift, and C shift, as well as all managed by Deputy Chief Brian Evans. And so right now we're still realigning and working with the manager, trying to get some stuff for the next budget. But that is our present day alignment. We run 14 fire stations with 19 companies, and actually 20 companies, counting the tanker company. But we have 238 personnel. 24 of those personnel in admin, the rest of them are a lot of positions for operations. 72 personnel per shift. And our minimum staffing basically on a day is 58 personnel on the street. That's what it takes to keep the trucks running. And so we're pretty much in today's times constantly hiring back just to keep those trucks manned with vacations, sick leave, COVID. Even though COVID kind of messed with us a little bit, it's like it changed people's mindsets. It changed the way they do on a daily basis. So we're still feeling some of the effects of COVID. But on our administration side, what you see in the blue up there, it reports through to Deputy Chief Tim Wright. We have our own fleet shop. We do our own trucks, lawnmowers. If it's rolling or needs worked on, we work on it. We have our maintenance personnel, we have a logistics division. And then the far right over there is our fire marshal's office, inspections division, which encompasses 6 inspectors. One of them is dedicated to fire prevention education officer. One is the fire marshal, and then the other 4 positions are actually boots on the ground, hitting the street. All of them are certified inspectors, but so we're slowly progressing and trying to work on strategies and so forth to implement and boost our inspection rates and still be able to service the customers. It's like the downtown project and the core and all the developments going on. It's a good thing for the city. It's good for us, but the problem is it creates more workload that with all the buildings they're building, trying to keep up with new inspections, old inspections, and so forth. But then at the top up there, I need to realign a little bit. I got too many people reporting to me, but I have a GIS person, admin assistant, a financial specialist, and emergency manager. And all those people everybody in the fire department multitask and does something. There's nobody that specifically does one task of anything. If it needs to be done, we'll find somebody to assign it to. So, any questions about anything so far? So, this is a little bit about our mission and vision, our values and our motto. So we try to align to what we do to help booster and implement and make the city's mission statement very valuable and make a change in people's lives. So obviously creating the single most livable, safe, and prosperous community in America goes hand in hand with what we do on a daily basis. But our values are service, commitment, excellence, integrity, and honor. And so we hold our people to a pretty high standard to try, obviously, because we want people with those values to service the customers. So basically, we have 6 divisions in the fire department, within the fire department. Got the administrative division, and that tells a little bit about what they do. Operations, the Office of Emergency Management and Safety, Fire Prevention, Community Risk Reduction, Training and Standards, and Technical Services. And so one of the key offices that we have, operations does a little bit of everything, but our key office is Fire Prevention and Community Risk Reduction, because that is where, obviously, if we can prevent, if we can keep people safe and teach them how to be safe, then obviously it cuts our workload, and it just helps the communities all. Because I can tell you, if you have an incident at your house, if you have a fire, something, it's the worst day that you can have. Talk to anybody that's ever had one. The day with the way things are made, plastics and all that, pretty much if you have much of a fire at all, it ruins about everything in people's houses. They lose stuff that they can never replace. So we put quite a bit of effort into fire prevention and community risk reduction, which entails actually we go out, we install smoke detectors, we do batteries, we check people's systems for them. Doesn't matter whether you rent, whether you own, or whatever. If you call us, I can't help it, your landlord won't take care of you. We'll take care of you. We carry them in our trucks, and we carry them in our back chief's vehicles, because if we come to your house, we're going to check your detector before we leave. And if you don't have a functioning detector, if you allow us, we're going to put one in before we leave, because we want people to be safe. Because it's a proven fact that early warning from a smoke detector or any type of device that will wake you up is what saves people's lives. We also have a program where we service the deaf people. We buy, costs us about $2,000, but we look for grants and we look for other stuff. But people that are deaf, we put shakers on their bed, light strobes and so forth in their house. So but we do that. We get maybe 1 or 2 of those requests a year, but we try to help anybody that we can.
How does that connect to alerts? Is that through a central car alarm?
Say it again now.
The thing that you said shakes the bed, so how does that?
No, it's connected to their smoke detectors. So what it actually does is when it goes off, it's most of that stuff is radio frequency now, but like they put a shaker underneath their pillow or something that will shake them, and then like I said, it's got light strobes and stuff like that. It's designed specifically for people that are deaf. Like I said, our fire prevention program and community risk reduction, it's a division within the department, but all of our personnel are trained in that. We do, when we go out and do community events or when we do other type of events, we're always doing pamphlets, showing the fire truck, talking about fire prevention, talking about smoke detectors, and so it's a big push, and we get quite a bit from the state through grants and so forth. And we used to get grants from Walmart and places like that, but now most of them have gone to, if you're not a 501c3, they cut you out. So we lost all those because we're not a 501c3. They won't give them to, even though we're tax exempt.
Always loved Walmart.
But, well, a lot of charities have done that now as far, or people that give grants. If you're not 501c3, you just can't get them anymore. But we managed to scrounge around, and we get people to give us donations and stuff like that. And, so that's what we do. We buy smoke detectors. But, any questions about training standards, administration, anything? So But you can see our operations personnel, we'll talk a little bit about them. So they're not only firefighters, everybody on the fire department is a firefighter. It's kind of like being in the Navy. If you're a fire department, with the exception of Sarah, Teresa, Bradley, and Kyle. Everybody else is a certified firefighter. But each one of our stations has an assigned task, especially as you call it. So like our hazmat team's probably our most active team, hazmat and the dive team. But like station 1, 2, 3, 8, 9, and 11 are hazmat teams. 3 of them are core stations, 3 of them are decon. And so we mitigate, we stabilize all hazmat situations in the city, and then cleanup companies will come in and clean up behind us. But 5 and 7 and 10 are our water rescue and dive personnel, and we the ROV that y'all just approved us getting through that grant not long ago. We travel to Blues Lake, we travel to Jordan Lake sometimes. We travel all around to try. We're the only paid full-time dive team anywhere between basically Raleigh and Charlotte. So we kind of cover the central region. And, you know, I call it giving back. We call people, they'll come help us. So, but we go up, and we got tow behind sonar as well. So we're pretty well equipped to go to find bodies. And the nice thing about that ROV that we're getting, if we can find that body, or we can send that robot down there and hopefully get that body to keep having to put a diver in the water, just gives us a little more safety aspect.
When do you expect that to be in?
It has actually been shipped. We just got the invoice for it, and I think purchasing is cutting checks. I think it had actually been shipped, coming to us. So we finally got all the paperwork. It was I've got a little bit educated. Greg educated me on end user agreements and military equipment. So it's pretty nice. But that ought to be here anytime. Our other avenues that we do is so we do hazmat, we do dive, we do technical rescue. So if you're on a pole, you're on a water tank, if you're in a ditch, if your house collapses, we got a team that's prepared to set up do that. That's Station 6, 13, and Station 4. We've got shoring equipment. We've got all types of equipment that specifically deal with that. So anytime the government comes out with a new program, when they find a need, well, they tell the municipalities, well, you got to get your fire department to do that. And so that's kind of how we end up with doing that. So any questions so far?
Yeah, Chief, I know when I do some of the insurance policies, one of the things that I know gives them a reduction rate is the ISO Class 1 rating that we have. I've been doing it for 20 years, but tell me exactly what gives you that rating versus the fire department that has, I know it has to do with response time and everything.
Yeah. So I think, where is that? Yeah, well, we'll go ahead and talk about that. So what it is on a scale of 1 to 10, the Insurance Services Office out of New Jersey rates fire departments. And if you're over 100,000, they rate you. If you're in the state of North Carolina, if the population is less than 100,000, the state has an office that rates you on the same platform. But if you're a Class 10, you basically don't have any fire protection. So so you're whatever the insurance people charge, however they charge. But a lot of them were Class 9s. A lot of rural areas have split districts. They may be, if they're close to municipalities, say like Pinecroft, Sedgefield, they're close to the city of High Point, Greensboro, so they do have some water capabilities because they're using city hydrants. But then the rural areas will be rated on a tanker platform, which will give them anywhere from a 7 to a 9. So you have a Class 1, then you have 2 through 4, and then you have 5 through 7, and each one of those channels is where your percentage kind of changes. So for years we were a Class 2, and till we put the effort into getting where we needed to be. So basically, 5 to 7 is middle of the road. That's where most of them were. Now, 2 to 4 is, most of them are probably gonna be municipalities, or you about gotta have a water supply to be anything from 4 or below. So, so being a class 1, as I was telling them in the group, and with accreditation, we're about one of only class 1 departments in the state of North Carolina. There's about, I think 10. There's only probably 300 to 400 across the United States, and then there's a few foreign countries that are in the Center for Public Safety Excellence. So, but with that being said, you know, from a 2 to a 1 is a small percentage for a homeowner. When you look across the street over here where you got multi-million-dollar buildings, their tax bill, if we drop them 0.5%, we save them a phenomenal amount of money. So that's where the rubber meets the road is with that class 1, you can't get any better as far as the insurance rating, and so that means it all across the board. And so what we've actually done when we added that tanker last year, we went out and we done hose lays, and we proved ISO that the rural areas that we serve, Deep River and Colfax, where they pay us, they get the same rating that the city's got, because the city service, fire service is so good that they allow them to do that. We prove it ain't just a matter of writing it on a piece of paper. So we actually go out and lay lines, and they time us, and they count how much water we can move and all that stuff. So it's a proven theory, basically. So that's kind of where it's at. And then with accreditation, that's what, when Lauren was here, me and Lauren and Sandy, when they go out and they go talk to people about economic development, and they talk about like bringing businesses in. Well, for a class 1 accredited department and as a city, well, you can't get any better anywhere in the country, and so they can tell people that. And it's, well, what you call it, a dry spot or whatever. I think it's worth every bit of the effort and the money that the city puts into that to make that happen. Like I said, they can't gig us on the fire service, or they can't gig us on anything with emergency services. And like I said, because it doesn't matter where you go, you can't get any better. And so does that help you?
Yes, sir.
So community engagement and outreach. This goes right along with what we do with the fire prevention and reaching out to people. And so it'd be surprising. Really now this is about our only focus to be able to do that. We used to hit the schools. We would hit them at second, third, and fourth grade, and usually by the time they got old enough to go to middle school, they had at least one program somewhere in fire prevention. And the schools has got like everything else. They say they don't have time to let us in. They don't give us time to do that. So we do it throughout the community now, through community events, public education events, and so forth like that. When they have events coming up at the city, even our bike teams with market going on or go far or whatever, all of our people are always pushing fire prevention and talking to people and trying to educate them. But let's see here, obviously I think that's probably a National Night Out program right there on the left. And obviously the other one there, that's Deputy Chief Brian Evans in that Duncan booth. And so I don't know what it is, people like to wear us out when we get in there. But Brian, he seems quiet, but he talks a whole lot of junk to people. So
I found out how many people wanted to see me in that water when I did that fundraiser for the Hero Center.
Yeah.
I got way more people wanted to dump me than Cyril, so I'll put it that way.
Yeah. So, but that's how we reach out to High Point University, public education. So each year when they come back to school, we send our public education officer over there, and all their resident assistants over there, anybody that's managing a house, they go through a fire training program. We give them extinguisher training on live fire and so forth like that, and as well as how to be sure they initiate the 911, anything that they're going to need to be able to get students help, because obviously for us seconds matter. But so the university does a phenomenal job over there on safety and trying to keep their, keep all them knuckleheads in line. Because they get pretty rowdy, but they do a pretty good job of keeping them in. The bottom one there is a VIP program. It's a program that been put on. COVID kind of held it up a little bit, but like going in to the high schools and staging a vehicle accident scene on drinking and the effects of drinking and driving, and actually pretty much live. And we get old junk car, cut it up, and they put makeup. So it's pretty live, and it impacts people. So sometimes the dramatics of the scene hopefully will register with them, and they'll think about it. But we do quite a few events. All of our personnel are involved. We I call it, be pretty heavily involved in media. As I told the leadership group, and I tell other people, we try to stay on the good side of media, because there's always going to be that uh-oh moment when you really need a little bit of help or a little bit of leadway, and so far that's worked for us. So we try to take care of them when they ask for something. We do the tip a cop, tip a firefighter. It's a nice little challenge where we raise money. We give it to the Fallen Firefighters Foundation. The police officer uses it for their Blue Angels program to help families at Christmas. The one on the right there was where we sent a team to down east, down there when the floods come and hurricanes come. We usually deploy 1 or 2 teams down there for firefighting, for water rescue, and so forth. And the state, it takes us a little bit of time, but actually, I reckon that money comes back from FEMA to reimburse us for time and so forth. But it's a good gesture. People reach out to us, and people remember you, and they're very thankful when we go help them. And then we, not only myself, but Brian, all my key staff serve on boards of some kind, nonprofits, being engaged with the community, and we push that pretty heavily, because that just gives us another inroads. That's why we're at the top of the game always, when people like us so much. But so that's the second highest total that's ever been raised for United Way in High Point. Ken Smith beat me. He was like $5 million and I think about $200,000. So my goal was to beat him, but I didn't quite get there. So and then COVID hurt them, but they're getting back at it. But it's a good program, United Way. If you've never paid any attention to United Way, I know they get a lot of negative press across the country. I serve on their board, have for several years, but United Way of High Point is a little different than most United Ways. They deal with partner agencies, and they touch kids, so I think 83% of the money they collect goes to the organizations. Only about 17% is for overhead, and which is, I think, is a pretty good number. And we impact like the backpack programs, the kids programs. So the adults, like, they try to help with finances. I think education, finance, and food are 3 of the big things. And especially in these days and times, there's a lot of programs that come out of United Way. But like I said, to me, it's a good program. It's negative stuff, and I read that, and I think you're always, when you got a worldwide organization, you're always going to have people that take advantage or do things that they shouldn't do, and it casts a negative light. But it is a good program, and the city's always been very, very good to United Way and help. So, any questions so far? I like to show this one here. This is my favorite one that Eric does for me. So we're up there, that top bar up there. I think it's 93%, and we're always at the top. Matter of fact, library is number 2, and I think PD, they might be number 3 up there. But we always get high marks on that, and because obviously our people, it doesn't matter. our goal is to treat everybody the same. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, what you do. If you don't even have a place to live, we want to treat you with the same respect and that we do anybody that we meet. As I can tell you, it doesn't matter anymore, you know, where you go into the really nice neighborhoods or you go into the neighborhoods that are not so nice. People got drug problems, as many drug problems in the nice neighborhoods as they do in the other neighborhoods, and issues and so forth. So it doesn't matter where you live. Everybody used to know who their neighbor was. Most people don't even know who their neighbor is anymore and know anything about them. And you'd be surprised at what may go on next to your house and somebody else's house. But anyway, so we treat everybody with respect. It doesn't matter who you are or what you are. That is our goal, is to give you the best service that we can give you. So this was actually a poll that High Point University done for us back for our accreditation study. We have, every 5 years we have to get reaccredited. And so, oh man, my name just slips my mind. But anyway, they commissioned the same poll that they do for politics and everything else, and we actually got pretty good ratings for it. They do accountability factors, and some of you people that are into politics may understand all this. It's way too much stuff. All I know is it looks good for us, and that's what our end goal was. Is the people that commented were satisfied with the service. Actually, so they rated us on several things, and our trucks and so forth. We're thankful that we got a good fleet. We're thankful that we got a good-looking fleet as well, because I can tell you, we've always looked at, like, that fire truck is a rolling billboard for the city. So when it rolls up, you know, we want it to look nice. We want our people to look nice, and because actually, your first impression when you roll out, people want to know if you roll out looking professional. It don't matter how good you are; they think they're in the best hands they can be. So, but we do pride ourselves on what our equipment looks like and keeping it clean, keeping our facilities clean and so forth. That's the insurance commissioner, Mike Causey, right there. So he came in last year and presented. The state came up with a new program, and they called it a Saturday Blitz. About 2 years ago, we had quite a few fire deaths, and so they came up with a program outside of our normal smoke detector stuff. So a day in June, every fire department they can participate. We go out and we pick neighborhoods. Last year we done Peachtree and Old Winston. It's surprising, there's a pretty old neighborhood up in there. But we went out, so we go out if we're going to do it on May the 11th, we'll go out a week before and we hang door knockers on everybody's door. And we tell them we're coming out next Saturday. We're going to install smoke detectors if you need them, if you'll call us or let us know. So we advertise it, we push it, and then we go out and we try to, usually we put in somewhere between 100, maybe 125 smoke detectors in a day with 3 crews. And so it's a blitz all across the state to try to so it's just another avenue to try to keep people safe and get people safe. And Commissioner Causey has been, I think for us, has been really good for the fire service. Mr. Godwin, that was before him, he was all right, but he was more focused in insurance than he was in the fire service. And so Commissioner Causey is not only in the insurance industry, but he's looking at everything. He's helped us quite a bit with trying to cut down on fraud, insurance fraud, and across the state, people that set fires and file claims and so forth. So all across, so the whole gamut their program is pretty much top notch now. Any questions? So these are kind of a few run numbers. And, just kind of a little synopsis of what you see up there. So obviously when you look at Station 1 up there, it's the top station. Station 1 and 2 are the core city stations. Station 1 is at 508 North Centennial, and 2 is at 434 South Elm. That's our headquarters. So they're in, well, with 6 and 9, they're in what were actually the worst parts of the city before started cleaning up blight and started trying to revitalize downtown. And hopefully one day we'll see the effects of a lot of that as far as cleaning up and making it a little bit better. But they run a lot of calls. Station 1, which runs Engine 1 and a bat chief out there, in 2021 they run 4,344 incidents out of that. Between the two of them, they come out the door. Station 2 is 4,270. So that's about 11 or 12, 13 calls a day. But it's not spread out that even. Some days they may run 5, and some days they may run 30. So used to, you had downtime. I remember when I first went on the fire department, you had time you could relax and kick back and stuff like that. Anymore, they work 24 hours pretty much and go home and they're ready to chill a little bit. But, so when you see that total down there for 2021, actually we dropped because of COVID, because it was higher in 2019, but 31,015 times a door on a fire station came up and a piece of apparatus come out going to a call somewhere. That may be a single person, single engine running by itself, or it may be 5 running to a call. But so that's how many times that it go out, which is it's pretty significant, because it used to it wasn't near that amount. But fuel's killing us. Everything that everything that you deal with at home, we deal with at the fire stations. Tires, fuel, stuff to run, getting parts, finding stuff, and so it's been a significant increase to try to keep up and maintain with the rising costs. But our incident types, you'll see, like fires were 2021 618, medical rescues 9,981. So we actually in 2021 we touched 14,011 patients, 16,000 in 2019. So before COVID come, and people kind of slowed down, but that's where you could have 3 people in a car wreck, or an individual at home having a heart attack. But that's a lot of people to touch, and the EMS system with Guilford has a hard time keeping up. Because I can tell you, if it wasn't for the city fire departments, the EMS service in the city would be very, very lacking. Because our goal is to be at your house in 5 minutes and offer you service from the time you call. EMS, they shoot for 10 minutes. And if you're having a heart attack, or if you're having a life-ending experience, then obviously we make a difference in a lot of people's lives. So our next page there looks at response time. So a lot of this stuff and these charts, I mean, the way it's designed is designed for accreditation and for ISO. These are templates that we have to submit to them. And so for us, if you see up there by NFPA standards, communications has, I think, 90 seconds to process a call. We have 80 seconds to get a firefighter dressed and out the door, and then 3 minutes to get to the call. So, so what they do, if you'll see up there, our baseline, which is 42, well, year-to-date communications, for 41 seconds, that's from the time that they answer your call to the time they punch that truck out, they hit that tone. Their average is 41 seconds. You can see it was a little bit better back 2016, 17, and what happens with some of that is when you get stuff like with COVID and so forth, well, there's a few questions that they have to ask now to keep people safe, so it delays, but it doesn't delay very much. Our average turnout time, well, you can see in 2021, was a minute and 34 seconds. So our year-to-date time has been 1 minute. Our goal is 60 seconds. Is that we want to turn them out. So like I said, we got it's either 80 or 90 seconds that we're allowed. But like I said, when that bell hits in the fire station, that's why they're running. And actually, Eric was pretty involved in this, so he'll understand a little bit about it. But about 3 years ago, we purchased an alerting system called Purvis, and spent $1.5 million or so. But what it done used to, everything went across an airwave, and it opened a plectron, old relay buttons inside of a station, and then the tone would go off. Well, that became unreliable, and we've been using that stuff since the 50s and 60s. So what we got now is across basically a VoIP network, and with a radio backup, airwave backup. So that thing is instantaneous. So as soon as they hit that button, I mean, it's there. And like in the fire stations, there's light poles that different color lights, like red for the engine, yellow for the ladder, white for the bat chief. So as soon as that thing hits, whether they're sitting in a TV room or they're sitting in the bay or they're up front in the office, there's a monitor and there's a light pole, and that light, so as soon as that light goes off or that monitor goes off, they can see the call. They don't have to wait for them to tell them. So when they're headed to the truck, they've already got an idea. And then right in front of the truck on the wall, there's a scrolling banner. It tells them what's going on, and there's a timer on it. So when they hit that door and that button, when they go out, they can see it took me 40 seconds or it took me 60. Or if it takes, if they go over our time limit, then they have to fill out a deal to tell us why. We track everything, but so that's been one of the great enhancements that the city has done for us. But actually, so you'll see up there, our first arriving unit year to date, and our baseline was 350, it's 327. So that's from the time they left the station to the time they got to your house. So overall, if you look at that response down there, year to date, 4 minutes and 57 seconds, at 90%, or the 90th percentile, we've had a fire truck at somebody's house, which is that's what we try to strive, because like I said, seconds count. A fire doubles in size every 60 seconds, which is pretty good, pretty good rate, and because obviously the faster it grows. So the faster we can do that, we're even life-saving. We talked about cardiacs and EMS a while ago. So we're carrying state-of-the-art AEDs. We're now pushing drugs. We carry epi. We carry multiple types of drugs. Narcan's one of the big ones. If you're taking nitroglycerin and if you got it, we can give that to you. So we're doing the way this EMS system is set up now. When we come to your house, if you're going to survive, it's going to be at your house. If there's no more, the days of sticking you in an ambulance and riding you to the hospital, knowing you ain't going to make it, they don't do it anymore. If you're going to survive, you're going to survive. When you leave your house, you're going to be a viable patient, or they won't take you. So that's why it's so critical for us to get that intervention as soon as we can get there and get started. And our save rates from what they were 20 years ago are phenomenal. And it's because of the equipment. It's because of even the medical practices that they teach. Like now, what the different types of CPR, we do different than what the layperson in the street does. But like I said, pushing the drugs and the AEDs have been probably a godsend to reversing most cardiac events for people. Any questions about responses, any of that? This is just basically a breakdown of population chart of what we look at, and basically what we serve. When you see, like, with the total area and population. So we're serving, I think, 115, 116,000 people right now in the city. Then we got an additional, the service area that we get for Deep River and Colfax adds an additional about 25,000 people to what we service. City's 59 square miles, but we service an area of 71 square miles. And a lot of that property continues to come in. The thing that Herb presented the other night on the acreage up off Sandy Ridge, that's part of the D.H. Griffin development that's coming in, and he keeps buying parcels and adding to that. I think he's about 600 some acres up there now around Sandy Ridge and Gallimore and between there and 40. So we mentioned the Office of Emergency Management. So that's, I don't know if you've ever met Perry Hall, but I'm sure you've seen emails from him on weather and everything else. Perry is a very good employee and an individual and a hard worker. He keeps up with a lot of stuff. He's passionate about it. But as far as not just emergency management for the city, but overall, and he does a lot of our safety stuff. He teaches some of our training, but he tries to stay on top of stuff. And actually, he's been pretty instrumental in helping us get some grants. The ROV grant, he worked on that. We've got a meeting next week at Deep River Rec Center on the placement of I think we've been working on it for 2 or 3 years there, the generator for Deep River and the one for Allen J. And we're finally getting ready to set that one, and we're waiting on them to come about Allen J. So those will become self-sufficient, basically warming shelters or shelters for inclement weather or whatever we need them for, but they'll be on generator power, so we'll have actually 2 nice places in the city that'll meet all the requirements of an emergency shelter as well as Red Cross. So hopefully we're working to make it better for the citizens. This slide here was one, these next couple were actually slides from our fire prevention, community risk reduction, and our code enforcement program that we're looking hopefully to get started up after the new budget. And so hopefully we're going to make a difference. And this is one of the ways that we're hoping that with implementing this program that we're going to be able to change the mindsets and cut out a lot of the unnecessary trips where people just aren't prepared for an inspection, or they know there's no teeth in the law, so that they just don't seem to quite get ready. So we're hoping to bring that violation, those way down, and if it comes down, hopefully our reinspection rates will come down as well. But obviously our plan review stuff will go up on the right side, which is a good thing, because if we're doing plan reviews, that means that the city's growing, there's something going on. People are building, people are spending money. So, we're very thankful and hopeful, and appreciate everything that's going on. And I know I'm meeting with the manager. It's pretty encouraging, the programs that we're pushing. So, accountability and compliance. So that just supports what you just saw on that other slide. Our goal would be nice to be able to meet 100% of the mandated inspections. And actually right now we're actually working on trying to do some stuff as well. If you look and you Google out there, you may find some stuff that says there's 6,000 some buildings in the city. Well, in reality, there's probably 7,000 to 8,000 buildings in the city, because there'll be 5 buildings in one complex with one address. So you really don't have a true idea of what's out there. So we've been working with Dave Fensel and Mark Schroeder and Trico and all. We got a committee together. We're aggressively addressing issues, even like the city facilities. When you go to east side or west side plant, they got one address and they got maybe 15 buildings. We ran into an issue back had an employee go down out at East Side out there, and so they only got one address, so you get out there and you got to find the individual. A lot of times there's only one or two people working out there at night, and it obviously didn't work out very well. But so we're aggressively trying to address those problems and fix things in the city. And actually, for this program, like getting people to comply, putting their addresses on their buildings and stuff like that. People don't realize how important that is. You ride down the street and you try to figure out what's this house number, what's this building number, and when we're looking and trying to find that, it's on GIS, but GIS ain't 100% correct all the time. So we're going to try to get after that to get addresses posted. Training and standards. I'm getting close to the end. So our training and standards, and it's like everybody else's, it grows and it keeps going up. But to meet the ISO requirement each year, our personnel have to have 242 hours, and that's dedicated to fire suppression. They don't care anything about structural collapse. They don't care about riding vehicle wrecks. They don't care about medical calls. All they care about is if this building's got a code issue or a fire problem, they want it addressed. So that's their main thing. And so we meet those 242 hours. Then on top of that, like we have 136 fire inspectors. Come on, keep us all by that. In the city, and have to have 24 hours each one of those. So we've got people on the truck, for some of us older people that have had fire inspection certifications for years. And once we get it, it's so hard to get, we don't let them go. We try to maintain them and keep them up. But all these hours that you see going into there. So last year in 2021, we logged 76,316 training hours amongst 230-some people working, and which is quite a number just to keep up. But our training and inspections division, which is a battalion chief and two training officers, do a phenomenal job, and then obviously our line captains do individual company training. But pretty aggressive training program to keep people certified and keep the certifications up, because even the medical side. Critical issues and service gaps. So we'll identify a little bit of that. So our goal is like we look at these categories, and our operation is to respond to every changing nature of calls and the changing political environment. And when I say changing political environment, people don't realize, I'm not talking about the politicians that are sitting at a Dios or somewhere. The political climate out here, the stuff that we see on the street used to, and we didn't have a worry in the world. I can remember people didn't bother you as a firefighter, they didn't bother your equipment. Now, they throw stuff at the fire trucks. If you park a fire truck in a lot somewhere, you got to keep somebody watching it. They'll steal the chalk blocks. They'll steal anything they can sell off of fire trucks. So the political climate out here has changed, and it's like even some of the stuff we were fortunate in the city, it didn't get that bad, but with protests and stuff like that, people just don't have any regard, I think, for society in a lot of places anymore, and they get caught up in some kind of a thing. But so we used to feel a little comfortable. It's not like that anymore. When you have to buy a bulletproof vest for fire trucks, the world has changed quite a bit. So, but our obviously budget's a big thing, and the budget office, the manager's office, is great to work with. Our facilities, we still got some issues and problems, and we're slowly grinding away at those, working towards them. Our fleet, we actually this year will get, with COVID put us a little behind, but we're getting back on track with our fleet. Our staffing, training for existing staff, match community growth with new employees. And, you know, as things pick up and things start growing and economy picks back up, annexations and so forth, you know, we're looking and planning, long-range planning for like north side stations and stuff like that to service the areas. Internal communications, trying to, like everybody else, we're trying to find ways to, you know, everybody's spread out, especially 14 fire stations, trying to find avenues to where we can cut down on some of the travel. We could have video conferences and teaching, and I think one thing about COVID, it helped us quite a bit with that. So, like, but being able to teach, and actually, a lot of the state standards and federal standards are catching up, I think, with today's thing, where used to you had to keep a piece of paper on everything, and you had to have somebody stand in front of you to teach. But now we're able to teach and deliver those classes and then send them a test and so forth, and so that saves us fuel, that saves us wear and tear, and it keeps trucks in the neighborhoods instead of having to bring them to a training center. And then increasing types and degree of personal training for diversity. We're always like leadership training and just trying to, I actually like some of the staff that we hire now, some of the people that we hire, the younger generation. It's like you basically have to teach them the things that your mom and daddy taught us, or my mom and daddy taught me, and so forth. And it's like we in our training academy now, we literally teach them how to make up a bed. We teach them how to clean a toilet, clean a bathroom, clean a fire station, because people don't do that anymore. And so I can only imagine what the military is like. But we're adapting and changing, and we're always looking for ways to classes that we can enhance our leadership and make them better. And because obviously the people that we've got in leadership, what we can train them, because they're training the people that's coming behind us. So that's what we're pushing and so forth. But that is pretty much it, other than some achievements that we've had over the last few years. So any questions?
I think it's very informative, and glad at least you don't know that's the
Just a big thanks and gratitude for what all you guys do, and girls.
Definitely appreciate you. Thank you.